Hi there, I'm Joe from Beyond the Beachhead Normandy Tours, and this is my video on my favorite D-Day war movies. For those of you who don't know, Beyond the Beachhead is my company. I lead small groups on tours, a 4-day tour of the beaches and battlefields of Normandy, France. If you're interested, you can go to my website, beyondthebeachhead.com, and get on my mailing list. We leave for France in a couple of weeks on a tour. Very excited about that. And the next tour in May of 2026 is already being booked. So if you're interested, go to that website, get on my mailing list, and there'll be more information at the end of this video as well. The question that I sometimes get is, hey Joe, you've immersed yourself in World War II history. You've really dug into the history of D-Day for many years, and you've been to Normandy multiple times. Are there any movies about D-Day that really stand out to you? And there are. I've narrowed it down to 4, and I'd like to talk to you about them now. So the first one is The Longest Day. This is the oldest movie of the 4 we're going to talk about, and it was based on a book written by Cornelius Ryan of the same name. Excellent book. The book came out in the late 1950s, and the movie was made in 1962. And what I love about the movie is what I loved about the book. It tells the story of D-Day in a big way. It's kind of sweeping in scope, but it tells it through the eyes of individuals. Ryan was able to interview hundreds of D-Day veterans before he wrote his book. And so you really get a perspective on this massive conflict, this big day, through the eyes of different people. A British glider trooper storming a bridge, an American paratrooper landing behind enemy lines, Rangers climbing sheer cliffs to take out guns, a French resistance fighter, German defenders. You get the idea. It really is a cast of thousands kind of movie. I read that over 700 U.S. Army troops were hired as extras to show the scenes of them storming ashore. And the cast, it's an ensemble cast that's like a who's who of leading men of Hollywood in 1962 when it was filmed. John Wayne, Richard Burton, Sean Connery, Henry Fonda, Robert Meacham, and there's more. So I really like this movie. Many of the scenes in the movie were filmed on location, the actual location. And of all the movies we're going to talk about today, this is probably the one that does the best job of telling the whole story of all of D-Day. Again, The Longest Day from 1962. It is a little bit dated. It's a movie of its time, so it's filmed in black and white. The special effects are not up to our standards, right? It's a long movie. It's 3 hours long. But I think for one movie to tell the story of all of D-Day, this is the one I would point you toward. The second movie is more recent and probably familiar to you, Saving Private Ryan. This came out in 1998. It seems like it was sooner than that or more recent, but this was a collaboration between Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. And it was a huge, huge hit, a huge box office hit. And this is the movie that really reignited public interest in World War II in general and in D-Day. It's a work of fiction. It's not a true story, but it's loosely based on some events. It tells the story of Captain John Miller, who's portrayed by Tom Hanks, who is the leader of a squad of Rangers who come ashore at Omaha Beach on D-Day and then are given the task of going behind enemy lines to find this Private Ryan, who is played by Matt Damon. He's a paratrooper, and they're tasked with bringing him out, returning him from combat safely, because unbeknownst to him, he has 3 or 4 brothers that all had been killed in the war in recent weeks. And so the government wanted to return him to his parents. That's the storyline. If you do nothing else if you watch nothing else before you go to Normandy, and you could be coming with me, you could be coming next year, you could be going on your own, please, you have to watch the opening sequence, the first 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. It depicts the soldiers coming ashore at Omaha Beach, and it's probably the most realistic, harrowing, brutal, incredible portrayal of combat on film all time. From everything that I've read, it really captures what it must have felt like. There were D-Day veterans that were at the filming at the release in 1998 when the movie was released, who had to get up and leave because it was too realistic. It was too painful for them. Having lived through it, they couldn't bear to sit there and watch it again on screen. Absolutely incredible. Some critics have called this the greatest war movie ever made. It's a great movie, all 3 hours of it. I love this movie, but promise me you'll watch that first 20 minutes because it is really worth it. 10 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. It won 5, Saving Private Ryan. My next choice is also a movie that was based on a book, and it's also a Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks collaboration. It is Band of Brothers. And Band of Brothers was a book written by Stephen Ambrose. It's a great book. And this wasn't a movie per se. It's a miniseries, I think 7 episodes. And the episode, watch all of it. It's all great. It follows one unit, one kind of a platoon of American paratroopers in the 101st Airborne Division, from their training in Georgia all through the war up until the German surrender, by which time they were in Germany themselves. It's beautifully filmed, wonderfully done. I would point you to the second episode. Episode number 2 is called Day of Days, and it depicts the night drop into Normandy on June 6th. The opening 20 minutes of this, kind of like what Saving Private Ryan did for storming the beaches at Normandy, Band of Brothers did for paratroopers dropping into an enemy territory at night. The first 20 minutes of episode 2 are absolutely incredible. The guys are in the airplane, they're flying through clouds, there's German anti-aircraft fire. They finally get out the door, they're in their parachute, there's burning villages, they're being shot at, they hit the ground, the confusion, the darkness. It's absolutely incredible, really, really well made. And I highly encourage you to watch this. Again, critically acclaimed, did really well, and really fed into that narrative, that growing popularity of World War II and D-Day. Dick Winters is probably the main character. He was the commander of the unit. He starts as a lieutenant and ends as a major. It really tells a story. And he and the guys that are portrayed in the film are real people. And in many cases, the actors that portrayed them got to know those veterans very well that they were portraying in the film. So extremely well done, Band of Brothers. The last one might not be familiar to you. It was not a big film. There wasn't a big launch. It's a British film. It's pretty recent, 2023. It's called The Last Rifleman. Sometimes I think maybe people mistook it for a Western because of that name. But this was based on a true story of a fellow by the name of Artie Crawford. Artie was a D-Day veteran in the British Army, but his unit was called the Ulster Rifles. He is the rifleman in the title. And the Ulster Rifles were all recruited from Ireland. These were all Irish soldiers that were fighting in the British Army. And it tells the true story. It's based on the true story. Artie is a 92-year-old D-Day veteran in a retirement home in England. And he decides that he's going to attend the 70th anniversary of D-Day in Normandy. The problem is he's got big health issues and mobility issues, and his doctors tell him it'll kill him, and the nursing home staff says he can't do it, and his family tells him he can't do it, and Artie does it anyway. And the movie tells the story. It's kind of an odyssey of him, sneaking out and getting to the coast and getting on a ferry and then getting to Normandy and the language barrier with the French. But he gets there, and it's beautiful. It's poignant. It's so reverent and respectful. It's not really a war film per se. It doesn't depict a battle. There are battle sequences that are shown in kind of in retrospect in Artie's memory. I should say that Artie is portrayed by Pierce Brosnan, which is kind of a departure for him, kind of this dashing James Bond kind of guy playing this sort of decrepit 2-year-old, but he does a wonderful job. And so does the movie. It does a wonderful job of kind of evoking that spirit of respect, reverence that all of us, if you're watching this video, you're 10 minutes into this video with me, you get it. You have that feeling for these guys, these veterans, and this movie really portrays that particularly well. So I think you'll enjoy it. It's a World War II D-Day themed. So those are my 4 films. If you're going to Normandy, I strongly urge you to watch all or parts of the first 3 for sure that really focus on the events of that day of Normandy. And if you're coming on the tour with me in a couple of weeks or next year, or thinking about it, you will see in Normandy places that were portrayed in these films. So those British troops, glider troops storming Pegasus Bridge, we're going to walk on that bridge. In The Longest Day, there's a famous scene of an American paratrooper. He's played by Red Buttons, and he's coming down in his parachute, and there's this village, and there's a fire, and there's a church, and despite his best efforts, his parachute gets hung up on the church steeple, and he's kind of hanging there helpless, and the Germans are shooting at him, and all that happened, and we're going to be in that town. You'll see that church steeple. That's at St. Mary Lees. The cliffs at Pointe du Hoc that the Rangers climbed, we're going to stand on those cliffs. There's a scene of German defenders looking through the vision slot of their pillbox as the invasion fleet emerges from the mist, and they get on the red phone and call the alarm. We will be in that very pillbox looking through that very vision slot where that was filmed. And the last example that comes to mind for me is in Saving Private Ryan, where the movie begins and ends at the U.S. military cemetery at Omaha Beach, and we will be there as well. So those are my movies. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in my tour, again, beyondthebeachhead.com, and I hope to see you beyond the beachhead.